It's the Major League World Heavyweight Champion, your boy Hammer, Alexander Hammerstone, and you are turning in to True Heel Heat. And if you turn it off, I'll hit you with the Nightmare Pendulum.
This is Suplex Assassin Alex Kane, MLW National Heavyweight Champion. Or, you know, when this airs, hopefully the cameraman airs this weeks later. But have one hell of a match tonight with Davey Richards. I am extremely proud of myself. You are listening to the True Heel Heat podcast. And, you know, Boomaye, Boomaye, Boomaye!
Boomaye!
Hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We are live on the True Hill Heat YouTube and Twitch for Rampage wrap-up number 10, reviewing the August 26th edition of AEW Rampage. Don't adjust your screens. I am not the Stat King, but the other of Rampage wrap-up is here with me now. He is the true draw himself. What's going on, brother?
Doing all right. Can't complain.
Good to hear. We're here to discuss another edition of AEW Rampage. I usually do the reviews for AEW Dynamite, so this is a little bit of a switch up for me doing Rampage. I usually cover it in quick succession over on True Hill Heat on Saturdays. You can check out True Hill Heat 190, where we broke down a little bit from Rampage, but this is the more in-depth review, a special edition on our YouTube channel. It's usually exclusively on Twitch, but you can go over to Twitch and follow us over there for the usual Rampage wrap up. But if you are here on YouTube joining us, we appreciate you all for joining us here on this Sunday afternoon. Show your appreciation back by dropping the thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, follow us on Twitch for all the exclusive content like Rampage wrap-up usually, as well as Dark Power, as well as some as watch-alongs like we had last night, NWA 74 watch-along over on Twitch. But Josh, how are you doing this Sunday afternoon? And any quick thoughts on this episode of AEW Rampage we're going to review here?
I mean, I'm doing all right, you know, just resting up for the weekend. But besides Rampage, I mean, it was all right. It was an okay episode for me, at least. Main event was pretty good, so I mean, can't really ask for much for our show. So
I enjoyed the main event and the opener to the show. Everything in the middle was kind of either squashes, filler, and then one of the craziest finishes that I've seen in quite some time, where someone bled like it was a video game. So let us know in the live chat what you thought about this episode of AEW Rampage. We'll highlight as many of your comments as possible. But of course, if you want to make sure your comment is highlighted, you want to hear us discuss your comment, if you have a question or any thoughts, super chat donations are always appreciated, and it helps out the channel so much. But let's get into this edition of AEW Rampage. They kicked off as usual with Rampage. It hasn't done this in the last couple of weeks, but they did it here, where they did the intros for the opening contents on YouTube before the show went live, and we went right into the action as it was trios tournament quarterfinals or Rampage semifinals, as they've been calling it. House of Black with Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews versus John Silver, number 10, and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order. They got right to action with the big men going at it, Brody King and 10, the battle of the horses from each team. Then John Silver and Buddy Matthews get tagged in, kind of the quicker of the trios on either side. Malachi and Alex Reynolds that tagged in. They had a nice little sequence where Alex Reynolds dropped down from the black mass and gave him the Dark Order symbol while Malachi sat down in his cross leg position. Both of the trios kind of went at it in the middle portion of this, kind of going wild. The action was all over the place. In the end, though, the House of Black looked like they had control. They looked like they were going to get a dominating win. Really, the story for the Dark Order was 10 and his injured knee that has his knee brace on it. That became the focal point and the weakness, really, of the Dark Order. Even though the 10 is the larger of the three of them, he had the weakness with the injured leg, and Malachi took advantage of that. He got a knee bar late. Buddy and Brody were taking out Reynolds and Silver, but then the music of the Redeemer, Miro, hit. He came out. Buddy Matthews ran after him and got backdropped on the ramp. But Brody came after him and they started brawling. Aubrey Edwards inconspicuously saw all of this and didn't ring the bell for a disqualification, which confused the hell out of me. And with that distraction, though, for Miro, for Malachi Black, he got rolled up by Alex Reynolds and took the loss in this one. I was not surprised to see Dark Order win. I was very surprised Alex Reynolds pinned Malachi Black, and the Dark Order advanced to the Rampage finals against Best Friends next week on AEW Rampage. Post-match, Malachi invited Miro into the ring, but he was jumped from behind by Brody King and Buddy Matthews. It looked like the House of Black was going to put the last rites for the Redeemer, but Darby Allin and Sting made their way out, making the save, running off House of Black, and it seems to set up a trios match between House of Black, Miro, Darby Allin, and Sting. I think commentary did a really good job of talking about the strange combination of Miro, Darby Allin, and Sting, with the history of Miro beating Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. But of course, all of them have a vendetta against House of Black. So what did you think about this opening contest? Went about 12 minutes, Dark Order and House of Black, and then the post-match with Sting, Darby Allin, and Miro.
I mean, the match was really good. Both teams showed out. It was a good performance by Dark Order. It's just funny that a lot of people were surprised that they won. I mean, they're telling the story between Paige and the Elite, so kind of makes the most sense that you're gonna have them win. I mean, it is surprising that it's against House of Black because I kind of had them winning. I kind of had them being the first trios champion, but then once I found out news about Kenny coming back, and Kenny was going to be the most focused on the trios because that's what TK wanted. So when it came after that, it was like, yeah, they're not winning. So, but the reason why, I mean, that's what a lot of people need to understand. Like, they're telling the story between another guy who's, rooting for this team against his old team. So that's pretty much the story behind the whole tournament. So, but besides that, I mean, yeah, a really good match. And then the post match, it's I want to say like it's weird in a bad way. Weird combination with Miro, Sting, and Darby. I think once they have a trios match, it's gonna be a good match. I think they've both teams, they work really well. I mean, as in Darby and Sting, they work well together. But so adding Miro, I think would be interesting to see, just because I want to see how he works with them. But then also like where Miro is at, because we kind of don't know if he's babyface or heel. He's in that tweener kind of thing, which I mean, I don't like using that term, but that's where he's at now. So who knows?
Yeah, it is kind of weird with Miro being involved. And we got Bay here with us. Thanks for joining us. Saying, hey guys, where do you think the Miro angle will go? I think that it's more or less kind of building to this trios match with Miro, Darby, and Sting versus House of Black for All Out, because these are all kind of big stars and big major groups that have been focused on in the build up the last couple of weeks to the pay-per-view. So I think they're going to get involved and they're going to have a match there. But I don't know if this is going to be an official babyface turn for Miro. I more or less see Miro as like a tweener at this point, because he is very popular, but he can be used, and he's been built up as so much of a monster. I would hate to see him like officially go to the babyface side.
Yeah, that's actually how I kind of see it. Maybe it's one of those things where he has unfinished business and he's just worried about that. Once he finishes, then he's going back to whatever he's doing.
Yes. And as far as, you kind of said the same thing that I've been thinking this entire time, that it seems like the Dark Order is going to make the finals and advance past Best Friends on next Friday's edition of Rampage. I'm calling it because I think that they set things up in this opening matchup of the Trios tournament. I think 10 is going to get injured. He's gonna get injured with that leg, maybe against the Best Friends, and then we're gonna have Hangman Adam Page have to step in to be the third man for Silver and Reynolds, because I think that's the only way we get an absolute banger match of the year candidate if Hangman's involved, because anytime the elite members are on the opposite side of the ring from each other, it's an instant classic.
It is, and we all know how well Page works with them. We've seen it before. We've seen how they mesh well. They tell that story of, he knows them so well that he knows their counter moves. He knows what's coming. He knows all that stuff. So he does that. I think Page does that very well. I think he's super underrated when it comes to that. And I think that would be the best option. They add him like that. I think that would be kind of a smart way of, using 10 to get there, but then he gets hurt, to the point that he can't, he doesn't want to blow it for the team. So Page fills in. I think that's a perfect way to do it.
Yes, kind of checks all the boxes on what we need. And yeah, Reynolds and Silver going at it with the Young Bucks, and then we get a little bit of Omega and Page in the ring with each other, even though I'm not going to lie. Honestly, after that absolute, one of the best TV matches of the year between Death Triangle and the United Empire versus the Elite should have been the finals. It should not be going on the Go Home show. This should be on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, damn, yeah. It should be the finals. It's just one of those things. It's funny because there's a story between that too with Ospreay and Kenny. So, but I understand people they really want that one-on-one match between them. I don't know where, I don't know how, but I know that's the main thing that, people want to see. So maybe that's why it's on TV. Maybe that's why it kind of makes sense to have them on TV, because once Kenny and Ospreay really have that match against each other, it should be on a bigger stage. So in that sense, I kind of understand, but yeah, in the other sense, it should have been the finals for that pay-per-view.
You could have got those two great matches, the Elite versus LFI and Death Triangle versus United Empire, and then you could have done the promo that they did after the show and they put on YouTube. That could have been this week's Dynamite to build up to the pay-per-view. I would have liked that, and I even if they were going to they could have done put both of the semifinals and the finals on All Out. Have all three of those matches on the pay-per-view. That would have been my kind of thing. If they didn't want to have them in the finals together, at least make it feel like a real tournament, a one-night tournament with having both sides of the finals on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I could see that.
Well, next we got a couple of comments I want to feature here. We got Frantic World, who says, "What's up, SP3, Josh, and chat?" He also asks, "Is Kenny versus Will at Wrestle Kingdom?" We talked about this yesterday on True Hill Heat 190. That's what I want. I think that's the only kind of consolation prize for the performance Will Ospreay had last week with he had 3 5-star matches in 1 week, and on top of that, his other matches that he did during the week. Oh, he just got 4 3/4 stars against Naito, 4 3/4 stars against Speedball Mike Bailey. So this guy had the best week ever. He's been the best in-ring performer of 2022. He was the MVP of the G1 Climax. I think the consolation prize for him not winning the G1 is him versus Kenny at Wrestle Kingdom. That has to be the deal for me.
Yeah, I think yeah, the only thing it would be like yeah, I actually agree with that. Just because realistically, it's one of those things I'm like, what is AEW's going to ask for a return when it comes to that? Because this is going to be a big deal. It's going to be Kenny's first time back in New Japan, right? It will be his first time back in New Japan after all the fuckery that was going on between him and the relationship between New Japan. But it's, there's a new president, that kind of helps everything because the new president has been open, as we've seen. He's been way more open doing business with AEW. They just had a joint show together, so it's going to end up working out. If it ends up happening at Wrestle Kingdom, I think it's going to be great for them. It's going to help New Japan. It's going to their subs are going to go back up. So everybody's going to want to see that. So that'll be perfect for them.
Yeah, like that would be the biggest match at Wrestle Kingdom, because I think Okada versus Jay White is big for the Japanese fans, but this is the type of match that will get the American fans to get this show, and especially if it's for the IWGP US Championship, the title that Kenny was the inaugural champion for. That it just makes all the sense in the world that could be like the semi-main event for the show.
The only downside about this match, the only downside I would say, is that since it's in January, throughout the whole entire year, everybody's gonna probably have to live up to that match.
Absolutely,
that's the only downside. Yeah, that's the only downside about that, because you're like, damn, we're gonna have to top that. That's gonna be crazy.
Will's been doing it hard since January. Like January, he had the Wrestle Kingdom match with Okada that was 5 3/4 stars by Dave Meltzer. He had I just watched his Michael Oku match from Revolution Pro. That was amazing. That's another 5-star matchup. He had a banger of a match with Brian Cage and Warrior Wrestling. This man's been killing it this year with just banger after banger after banger. It's been kind of ridiculous, his work rate this year alone. We got Hassan saying what's up. We got Will Chisholm saying the booking feels a little backwards. I mean, I'm okay with the booking of the trios tournament. A lot of things I can't say I'm okay with the booking of, and when it comes to this all-out build-up.
Yeah, you could say maybe booking overall, maybe, but the trios booking, I think it's been fine. It's just a matter of, because like you said, there's a story between two teams for obvious reasons. That's where everything builds up off. Now, if it was a situation where that wasn't going on, like if there wasn't a story between Paige and the Elite, then it would have been a little bit different. I think then that's when you will have like another strong team in the finals, because I mean, let's face it. Is Dark Order the strongest team? Like, are they one of the strongest teams in the tournament? No. And that's pretty obvious. And there's a reason why to that. But I mean, in comparison, right? You had this team that lost, right? Andrade, Rush, and Dragon Lee, right? Of course, they're far better, but at the same time, I mean, when it comes to wrestling, you're talking about telling stories, and there's obviously a strong story that's going on, and that's what they're focused on. So, I mean, I'm fine with the booking when it comes to that, And like I said, some people. You know what it is with wrestling too, just like wrestling fans and wrestling in general, that sometimes people set their bar way too high. If you have it low and something happens good and exceeds that, that's when you're gonna enjoy it more. I think people they set their bar way too high and they expect way too much on certain things.
And I think that's why WWE is doing so well right now, because the bar had been lowered by Vince McMahon for so long that all Triple H has to do is the bare minimum of just putting on wrestling matches, and people are like saying, "Oh my God, he's Booker of the Year already." So that's usually how
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Even with that, I mean, I mean, I don't mind speaking about it right now, but it's one of those things, like, Triple H, he's a fresh face. I get it, and he's been doing a great job, but he has had his flaws. I mean, booking with Liv, that's like a major
That's
one.
always
Booking,
that's always the big
yep,
one.
yeah, booking with Liv. SmackDown has its moments, but it's still not strong to me.
Yeah.
Like the last episode of SmackDown was probably the weakest under Triple H, and that's in everything. Like
Yes,
Raw,
yes, that was one of the
SummerSlam,
blandest
yeah,
episodes of television overall in wrestling, and I haven't
and
liked Rampage a few weeks, but Rampage felt better than SmackDown
yeah,
this week.
and then the thing too is that when it comes to Triple H, I think what a lot of people overlooking as well is like, yeah, it's great he's bringing a lot of guys back. I think a lot of fan favorites people wanted to see, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to sign all these people back, and realistically, not all of them are going to get their shine. So it's one of those things that it's great to see, but at the same time, he's going to fall into the same pattern, like what everybody's complaining about right now with Tony Khan. Like, oh, he has this bloated roster, and he doesn't know what he's doing. When it comes to Tony Khan, I think his problem. So I saw Ramble on Thursday, and I saw like Jimmy made a comment about, that TK, he was going against Vince, so he didn't have to worry as much, and now he has to worry about Triple H. So that's why his booking has faltered. But the reason why I don't 100% agree with that statement, because TK's booking was struggling before Triple H took over, and this has been a problem since he bought Ring of Honor. So that's why I don't 100% agree with that statement, just because on that aspect. But I also don't agree with a lot of people saying like, oh yeah, TK is a terrible booker, because you're telling me that for what, over 2 years, going on 3 years, that this guy has done a terrific job. All of a sudden he's a terrible booker when everyone's complaining, like this period of time compared to what AEW has done in 2 years and in 2 or 3 years. I mean, that's why I really don't agree with that. The only thing I do agree with mostly is like the women's division. Their booking hasn't, their division hasn't been strong. And the problem with that is like sometimes when it feels like it's getting there, kind of goes backwards. So that's one of the things, like when this guy said, hey, the booking feels backwards. A lot of that has to do with the women's division too. Their booking feels backwards because like Thunder Rosa's run, I love Thunder Rosa, but she hasn't had the best title reign overall. Yeah, and it's no fault of her own. I know people were mentioning Paige. I think Paige had a good run. The problem with Paige was that there was times that the storytelling, they made him look weak. How many times the champion's gonna come out, he's gonna get beat up? He always had the upper hand. But then if you look at his matches were fucking top notch. His matches were probably some of the best. It's like, so
I think
it's one of those things. Yeah.
With Paige is he never felt like the biggest star. Like you gotta understand, like Paige wins the title at the beginning of November, and then what happened at the end of November? The MJF CM Punk feud started. So those two always felt like they were the most important thing on the show each and every week, even more than Paige. And then some weeks it didn't even feel like Paige was on the show. So yeah, that's why it always felt like he was secondary.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, and we look at his matches were incredible as a champion. It's just that he didn't look strong. Because if you compare it to Moxley's first run, right? Moxley had a lot against him. First of all, he was a champion mostly during the pandemic era, but yet he had one of the strongest like runs ever. Like we're talking about in any company, there's a reason why PWI voted him #1 wrestler A lot of people disagreed, but there's a reason why he was voted number one, because his strong looked strong, and it literally brought out the best version of Jon Moxley. So when it came to Paige, did they bring out the best of him? I think ring wise it did. It didn't overall, like character wise, it didn't. So, and I think with Rosa, it's kind of the same pattern with her. And like we said, there's no fault of her own, because I mean Jade Cargill has the secondary belt, and she's looked way stronger than Thunder Rosa. So it's like, what does that tell you? There's there's not a balance there for the world champion. That your world champion should look the strongest. I mean, no disrespect to Jade Cargill, she's been putting in the work. Does she need more work? Absolutely, but she's doing her job, making herself look good, and she's been doing great on that. But at the same time, she's been given that opportunity to look good, and Rosa hasn't.
True. Very true. We got Bebe who asks, why isn't Ospreay signed? Get on that. Would you? He signed to New Japan, so like, yeah, like there ain't nothing around that. That you don't want a contract tampering with the company that you're working with. You already got enough of that with WWE calling up AEW people. Don't want to endorse that from AEW.
Yeah, not only that, Ospreay has no intentions of moving to the United States. He loves Japan. He lives in Japan. He absolutely loves the country, and I don't see him leaving, at least anytime soon. I mean, he's literally in his prime years, and I don't see him leaving. New Japan's gonna pretty much give him whatever he wants to keep him, because he's such a strong asset. So, I mean, in this sense, we still get to see him, with their business. With their business relationship. So it's not like a big thing to me. It seems
like TK loves him out of all the New Japan guys, because he's used him the most.
Yeah, and that's you're going to throw Ospreay. So it's like, I'm fine with that, but it's just, people got to understand, a lot of fans got to see that too. They got to do their research. They got to see, hey, who's under contract, how all that crazy stuff works. New Japan, they do sign their wrestlers to contracts, so people got to remember that as well.
We also got Bebe who says, ASP3, did you see Ospreay versus Nick Wayne or Ospreay versus Blake Christian? Ospreay really shows respect after those matches. Amazing matches as well. Yeah, I've seen both of those matches. Probably my favorite GCW match of this year was Ospreay versus Nick Wayne, and probably my favorite Warrior Wrestling match of this year was Ospreay versus Blake Christian. Like, it doesn't matter where Ospreay has been, GCW, New Japan, AEW, Warrior Wrestling, Rev Pro, he's probably had the best matches or some of the best matches for all of those companies. The AEW, I didn't even mention the Orange Cassidy match from Forbidden Door, which is one of my favorite matches of the year as well. Frantic World saying Triple H is going to have the same problems now that he is trying to get some people back, and that's exactly what Josh was trying to say. Like, he's bringing all these people back, and I know it's great, and we're happy for the people because they're getting that payday that they've been missing out on since WWE released them. But he ran into this issue back in 2019 when they went to USA Network, and he got Keith Lee in like 2018, didn't just start pushing him until a year later. This guy signs Kushida in 2019. Kushida wasn't on a takeover for 18 months. Like, he's going to run into the same issues that Tony Khan is dealing with.
It's kind of like, and it's kind of like right now, right? Karrion Kross comes back, right? And he has like such a big reaction to that, right? Such a big surprise, right? And what has he exactly done since? He was rumored to be in a triple threat match between the champions, and he's not even in that. So
yeah,
again, it's those little things. I mean, you know what it is. But what benefits Triple H is that, again, because Vince has done bad so long that Triple H is the fresh face. Triple H is the fan favorite. So Triple H is gonna get all his props. So once that dies down, I mean, it's not going to die down anytime soon. So I guess that kind of benefits Triple H, maybe if he cares about that or not. I don't know. But, they're going to fall into their problems too. I just think with Triple H, what he's gonna do well too is that he's gonna have, and I noticed it with the last few Raws, the Monday Night Raws, that he does these Monday Night Raws where there's one night he focuses on the storylines, right? Storylines, storytelling, and all that stuff, right? And then you have like 1 or 2 great matches, which for a Raw that's actually great because we've seen Raws that have been so bad. It's like, what was match of the night? We can't decide. And at least now it's a point like, oh yeah, there's a clear cut great match, right? And then he's gonna have those nights where he's just gonna focus on the wrestling, which he did this past Monday. That's why everyone praised it, because if you watch the episode of Monday Night Raw, there was a lot of great matches. There was a lot of good matches that they were like, oh shit, this was a good Monday Night Raw. So I think he balances that well when it comes to like, hey, let's have one show focus on this, another show just focus on the wrestling. And I think he did that well because of the Toronto crowd. The Toronto crowd was hot all night.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to certain crowds, I think that's going to help out. And I think Tony Khan can learn from that as well. You know, depending on what city you're in, you know, if there's a big city, you know, there's a big wrestling town, you know, you gotta put out a good card or something presentable. But yeah, you know, that's just what it comes down to.
Well, let's get back into Rampage here. After the opening contest, Josh, we had a quick backstage segment with Hook. He's interviewed to give his thoughts on what Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange had to say about him and his FTW championship. And Hook says he doesn't care and walks off. After he walks off, Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange are literally right there and appear demanding to get a taste of that FTW championship. What do you think about this mini feud that's been building over the last 2 weeks here?
I mean, it's pretty funny because it was like he was just right there, and then he came in. 2.0. Hey, you know, a lot of people might not like them, but they're way better than they were in NXT. They know how to use them well. Both guys are actually pretty funny, you know. And they're using their strong points, you know. That's why they're in a team that's considered entertainment, because this is what they do. So that was a pretty solid segment. Yeah.
They're basically the Lenny and Squiggy Bulk and Skull of AEW. They are bubbling fools, but they are lower tier villains.
He said Bulk and Skull. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Deep cuts.
Oh shit! He said, "Book is called." Damn.
They're not the main villain. They're
lackeys.
They're not Ooze. They're the putties.
Yeah. He said, "Book is called." They're probably lower than the putties. They're lower than the putties.
They're not Kingpin. They're the Hand.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll give you a more recent reference. Next, we had TNT Championship Open Challenge with Ryan Nemeth versus the champion Wardlow. Ryan Nemeth came out cutting a promo, talking about the being in Cleveland, which is, I think, his hometown because Dolph is from there. So his little brother, Mini Dolph, has to be from there as well. So
because he mentions it. He mentions it.
Yeah.
During the promo.
Before the match started, though, Josh, we got a quick debut, but a debut nonetheless, as Jay Lethal, Santam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt came out with one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin of Impact Wrestling. Wardlow doesn't let this distract him at all. He delivers a headbutt to Ryan Nemeth after he proclaimed over and over how Wardlow isn't worthy of deserving to be a champion. And then Wardlow follows up with a delayed overhand lariat, and then he delivers the 4 count of the Powerbomb Symphony to get the victory here. Squash, but this was what it needed to be going into All Out. Wardlow looking strong. Any thoughts?
No, I mean, like you said, it made Wardlow look strong. I mean, Did anybody expect anything more than this? I don't know. I expected. I knew exactly what was going to happen, especially when he kept talking in the ring. So, I mean, makes Wardlow look strong. I kind of like the fact that they're doing this with Wardlow. I'm kind of liking what they've been doing the last few weeks because right out the gate when he won the title, I mean he won it against Scorpio. I wasn't too big on that just because I'm like, damn, Scorpio should have gotten shine. He should have gotten more shine on that, especially getting a brand new belt. He got the freaking custom Lakers belt, and then he loses it after 2 weeks. And then the week after Wardlow wins it, he faces Orange Cassidy. I'm like, you're trying to build this guy to be a babyface, and you have him face one of the most over baby faces in the company. Like, what are you guys doing? So I think that they've been doing a solid job now to focus on guys that he should be beating, and people are going to get behind him. So I think that's been going on pretty well. And the overall thoughts on the All Out match, I mean, thank God it's going to be more than City Machine Guns. I was like, oh, man. You have no idea how relieved I was when I got announced. I was like, oh, my God, thank God. Thank God.
Like,
I did not.
Are we really going to give a pay-per-view spot to freaking Santam Singh? Come on. What are we doing
Santam Singh and freaking Sanjay Dutt, who's wrestling in his suit. I'm still not gonna get over the fact that they had. Remember that trios match that they had? I'm still not gonna get over the fact that Dutt was the one that issued the challenge, right? He issues the challenge, and yet he comes out in his suit. Like, bro, you knew you was gonna be in a wrestling match, and you came out in your suit. What are you doing?
He's not. He was a little confused, but he was smart. He was smart enough to put the Motor City Machine Guns in the match instead of him. So we'll give him credit for that at least.
Yeah. That's it's such a. I'm so glad it's such a major upgrade. It makes me want to see this match more now. It's like, oh, thank God. It's not even the fact that they got taken out. It's the fact of they get taken out and then who they added. Like that's a huge thing because they could have you could take out anybody and put, I think people would have been fine. But it's the fact that they put in a freaking prestigious tag team. I'm like, oh, thank God.
So they put in a tag team that we definitely want to see face the FTR. Even though I said it on Ramble and I'll say it here. I would have been better off with FTR versus Motor City Machine Gun straight up. I don't really need Wardlow and Jay Lethal, or you could have done Wardlow and Jay Lethal as a TNT title match and do this for the ROH World Tag Team titles. But hey,
yeah, I think the only thing I could think of is that the reason why they did that is because I know they haven't from what I know they haven't what do you call it? They haven't used the TNT title. They haven't used it. They haven't used the TNT title in the pay-per-view. And I think that has to do with, I guess, Dynamite, Rampage. I guess that has to do with that. And they want to use Wardlow. Wardlow is one of their top baby faces. So I think that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, I would hope that just to get everybody on the card, and you have certain other matches you want to do, so it makes sense to kind of put it in all in one. But I just hope we do get FTR and Motor City Machine Gun, especially in New York. If it's at Grand Slam, I'm here for that.
That'd be great.
I'm here for
That'd
that.
be great.
100%. We got a couple of comments to feature here. Baby saying, to be clear, Jim Ross said that, not me, about needing to sign Will Ospreay. Yeah, I did hear JR say that, but I just knocked that up too. JR just says what he wants to say, even though it's like JR, you should know he's signed to New Japan. Like, why are you even saying this? Why are you saying
I think that was JR's way of just like putting him over. Yeah. Like, damn, this guy is good. Why nobody signing him? Like, that's the only thing I can think of when it comes to that.
Yes. We got Frantic World that says, did you guys see the news that Dante Martin is going to have a match with RVD? Yeah, I did see that. I think it's for First Wrestling, I believe. I don't know where it's at, but Yeah, that's like a dream match for nostalgia fans, even though RVD isn't the RVD of old.
RVD isn't the RVD of old, and I love RVD, but also RVD has that reputation of, hey, if I'm not getting my full pay, you're not getting the 100% out of me. So I mean, that could go either way. If they're paying the man, you're probably going to get at least a good performance out of him. But if they're not paying, probably going to see a mediocre match. That's all I can say.
Exactly. Backstage after the Wardlow and Ryan Nemeth matchup, we had LFI, La Faction Inganables, and Private Party in a backstage segment. Andrade tells Private Party that everything has consequences as he's not pleased with the duo due to them losing to Swerve in Our Glory last week and the lack of weight they haven't been carrying as of late. And Private Party did not take too well to this. Didn't like being touched by Andrade. Didn't like being talked down to. Roosh commenting that they can get rid of them because he just got rid of his own brother. So I don't know. This might be leading to Private Party turning back babyface, which I think is the best role for them. And I would love a tag team match between these two teams.
Yeah, but what made it funny was like, yo, didn't these two guys lose the trios their trios tournament? Like, didn't they lose? That's what made it funny.
That is true. You're talking all this shit like y'all didn't lose, but they basically are putting their loss on Dragon Lee since Dragon Lee got pinned. They're like, it's his fault. We got rid of him.
That's what makes it funny though, because I'm like, yo, they lost to the tag team champions, like. They lost to the tag team champions, and they lost in the first round of the tournament. So.
Not acceptable if you are Andrade, I guess. Next, we had a squash match, another one back to back here, as it was Powerhouse Hobbs versus Aston Day. I think that was his name. Hobbs clotheslines the living hell out of Aston. Then he follows up choking the man in the corner, shoulder block, and then one nasty spine buster in what was about 30 seconds or 25 seconds of action here. Another squash, but it makes Hobbs looks good heading into All Out, where he's going to go one-on-one with Ricky Starks. But speaking of Ricky Starks, we immediately go backstage on the Contron is QT Marshall. He appears with the Factory, and they are jumping Ricky Starks. He's been beaten up very badly here, and QT tells Hobbs his word is his bond as he knocks Starks out with a fist that was wrapped around his watch, and Ricky Starks was not looking in good shape after this. What do you think about the squash win and then the post match here with the Factory doing the bidding of Powerhouse Hobbs, Josh?
I mean, the squash match is a squash match. Hobbs looks they're making Hobbs look strong. That's what you want. For the post match, I don't know. It's a little weird to me because I'm like, do you really need to beat down Ricky Starks to make him look weak for All Out? Powerhouse Hobbs. It's he's a powerhouse for a reason. So, I mean, that was a little weird to me, but I mean, I get it just because the Factory's been trying to recruit Ricky Starks, and he's like, no, fuck out my face. So. I kind of get that sense, but it's a little weird to me. It's like it's more so it looks weird just because I'm like, you're trying to make Ricky Starks, I guess, in a sense makes him look strong because he just got beat up, so he's gonna look weak for All Out. It's a little weird to me because I'm like, Powerhouse doesn't need that. Like you don't need to do that for Powerhouse.
Unless they're gonna do some like gauntlet match on like Dynamite or Rampage next week, where Ricky can like beat the entire Factory and make him look strong. Like he's the one that kind of needs to look strong in this for people to believe he has a chance of beating Hobbs at the pay-per-view, because Hobbs has been built as this monster. And anytime they really lost as a tag team, it was Ricky taking the loss, not Hobbs. So I didn't understand this post match here. It was just like, I kind of feel like Ace, like get the Factory off my television. Like why are you building up the Factory against your rising babyface Ricky Starks here.
It's just a little exactly. It's a little weird, especially when you have like how many guys in the factory, like 5 or 6 guys, and they're beating up Ricky Starks. I mean, no offense to Ricky Starks, but I mean, wouldn't that be backwards? Like, hey, we need 6 guys against Powerhouse Hobbs. Like, wouldn't that like?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I guess it puts it over. It puts Ricky over. That needed 6 guys to jump.
Yeah.
Or,
that's all there. Yeah, like I said, like I think that's like in a sense, like it makes them look strong in that aspect. Like, oh, you need these guys to make him weak, but it's still weird. Like it's still a little weird.
Next, we have another backstage segment where we go to Lexi, who's trying to interview Jade Cargill and the baddies. Layla Gray tries to speak, and Jade cuts her off and wants to know what has Layla done for her lately, and tells Kira to take out the trash and waves her off. She then waves off Lexi and talks to the camera and tells Athena she'll see her ass at All Out, and that if she wants some, come get some. And this leads to Athena, who, just like Daddy Magic and Cool Head Edge, seem to have been right there or just on Jade Cargill. She appears out of nowhere. They start brawling until officials separate the two. So this is another match added to All Out. Are you looking forward to Athena and Jade? And what have you thought about this feud that pretty much started at Double or Nothing in May?
I'm looking forward to the match. I think it's gonna be a solid match. To be honest with you, I think Athena's gonna make Cargill look good. As for the build-up has been super mixed for me because it's too many moving parts. Way too many moving parts. It's been really long, but then you also had those dead periods where everyone was like, "Hey, where's Athena? Where did she go?" And then she comes back. So it's as in the buildup, I'm super mixed about it. But as for the match, I am looking forward to the match. I want to see what both ladies do to finally get that, get that out of the way. But then also, I mean, at least to me, it kind of feels like it's not a clear win for Cargill because I have no idea what they want to do with Cargill, just because the way they've been building her up is like she's obviously the next women's champion. So it's one of those things like I'll look forward to seeing it because I want to see what happens after. If they want to keep making Cargill look like a monster, I guess that's your best option, keep her as champion, I guess. But yeah. Look forward to the match. The build-up has been meh for me.
I agree with you. It's been very mad. The fact that Athena debuted in May at Double or Nothing, and she still hasn't had a singles match on Dynamite is just atrocious. It's just further proof that Tony Khan is awful at booking the women. I won't call Tony Khan an awful booker, but when it comes to booking women's wrestling, he's awful. He is really bad at this. He just it doesn't seem like he cares, and he uses like ratings to be like, oh, I can't do them here, I can't do too many. And it's like you're never gonna get viewers for the women's wrestling if you don't book them properly.
And I think that's actually the major issue with how he books. I think that's a big part of it, that he worries about where to put them at. And I think that's why there was times where they were majority of the time they get put late, like 9:30, 9:20, 9:30, they get put late. And then people stop caring. So it's one of those things he has to figure out. He has to start figuring out either if you're gonna have one women's match, put them early. If you're gonna have 2 women's matches, 1 hour each, I think that's the best. Yep. I think that's your best option to build up on this division. Just because, like you said, like that's pretty wild. I didn't even notice that she hasn't had a singles match on Dynamite. Like, yo, what the fuck, yo? And my thing,
she had 1 tag team match on an episode of Dynamite. That's it in almost 4 months.
And my thing is like, it's one of those things that like I wish I could know what he's thinking when it comes to that, because it's like, to me that doesn't really make any sense. It's like, So she's about to get a pay-per-view match, but she hasn't had a singles match on Dynamite. Like, what? What's the thinking behind that? You know what I mean? Like, I want to, it's weird. Like,
very, very weird. Yeah, just get better, Tony. I'm gonna say this on any show I'm on. I'm hoping that he sees one of them and just be like, you know what? I'm gonna shut SP3 up.
But also, you know what's the big problem, and it has nothing to do with this person. It has nothing to do with her. Is Britt Baker? I think he has she's like the Charlotte Flair of AEW, and it's kind of obvious where he wants to go with Britt Baker again because she's the only one that's been presentable, and he wants to rely on that. But it's like, bro, you got all these women, you got all these talented women, and you have to figure out a way to use these women because you see in WWE they don't even have to do much and they figured it out. Like Triple H, that's been Triple H's strong point when it comes to the women. Like, he knows how to build up the women really strong because even on Raw, Bayley's stable. That's been probably one of the best things to watch. It hasn't been stale. They've been pretty strong. And that's one of the things he has to figure out. Like, it's like, bro, like, even if he needs help, like, get somebody else to do it, to focus on that. He has to do it. He can't, it's like, bro, there's way too much on your plate. Just admit that. He kind of already admitted that with making the changes that he did. All right, this person is going to be, new talents are related, he's done like those little things. But when it comes to the overall show, he has to, he might not like it, but he might have to figure out a way he might have to step back on certain things and, let the professionals take care of it.
It's true. Hopefully Kenny being back helps that because he's been the kind of the big advocate for women's wrestling behind the scenes out of the EVPs. But speaking of women's wrestling, we got a little bit of that in this mixed tag team action as Ruby Soho and Ortiz versus Ty Mello and Sammy Guevara. The women kicked things off with a nice little start here. Then Guevara and Ortiz got into the matchup. I think the match really hit like the next gear when we started seeing the women interact with the men. We got Ruby Soho with a nice little poison Rana on Sammy at one point. Then at the end, it looked like Ruby was running wild until Sammy got in her face. And then Ortiz was tagged in. He started beating down on Sammy until Anna JAS came from the back, attacked Ruby Soho, ran her into the steel steps. This distracted Ortiz long enough for Sammy to hit his springboard double jump, cut her off the top rope. And out of nowhere, this split open Ortiz like I was watching fucking No Mercy. Like, this was No Mercy, and you drop somebody with a power driver, and that power driver busted them open, and they looked at the blood like they got up and like they did like that. Like that, I was like, yo, he wasn't bleeding 1 second, and then he was bleeding. I tried to rewind it back and rewatch it and see if it was just like a bad edit. No, it legit looked like the cutter busted him open. Like, I don't know if Sammy's head connected with him or not, but man, that was crazy.
It's possible. It's possible. And also, usually when it comes to wrestling 101, the reason why guys cut their foreheads here is because it bleeds easier. So I think there's a possible chance that you said when it comes to the head thing, like he hit his head because usually these areas, they get busted open easily. And sometimes when you're sweating so much, that's why it looks like there's so much blood because it's mostly the sweat. Everything just goes crazy. So it could have been that.
Yeah, I'm hoping though that Ortiz and Santana, when Santana's healthy, they could squash their differences because Ortiz just doesn't feel like the same guy without Santana. It just feels kind of off here. And I want to
To
see
be
more from
honest,
Ruby.
I feel
Ruby
like
was
that.
kind of
Yeah,
the highlight of this matchup. This is another thing for Tony to get better on. Book Ruby Soho more often because she always stands out, and I felt like she stood out here. But what did you think about Ortiz? What do you think about Ruby Soho? And what did you think about the match?
oh, the match was really good. I really enjoyed the match. Regardless of how people feel about Sammy and Ty, and believe me, on a personal level, there's a certain way that I feel about like their relationship. But again, it's just my opinion on it. Nothing against them personally. I've met Sammy a few times. I think Sammy's a great kid. He tends to say a lot of dumb shit, to be honest with you, that gets him in trouble. Obviously, with Eddie Kingston as well, but that's a different story for another day. But they work well together. Sammy and Ty, they work really well together. I think it's probably the best times. Like Ty actually looks like her best with when she works with Guevara. But like you said, Ruby was the one that stood out for me, and I'm like, performances like this that I wish I could see more from Ruby. Like, and it has nothing to do with her. It's a situation, the same thing. It has nothing to do with Ruby. It has to do with the overall booking. That I wish that there was just more, even as the TNT title, whatever the case may be. She just, sometimes I don't like using that term deserving, but I think she's one of those people who deserve more. And, at least when she goes out, she shows out. Hey, that's, props to her that she shows how big of an asset she is, win or lose. She's always showing out. But to your point with Ortiz, I 100% agree with what you said about Ortiz. Like I love Ortiz. Same thing, man. I've grown up watching. I've seen him. I've seen the dude since 2016, before Impact, before anything.
Yep.
So it's like I have so much respect for the dude, but he does look out of place without Santana, and I kind of feel the same way the other way around. Like Santana at times looks out of place, even though credit to Santana, before he got injured, he was trying to do his thing. He was getting singles matches, but I think he falls into that category where he's not like this dude from FTR, where he has like these strong matches that you could say like, oh, if he was having a singles run, he could have a great singles run. I have not seen that from Santana to really be sold on that as well. So I think it's a situation where Santana and Ortiz really need each other. And I think it's a situation that, again, it's just speculation. It's just what we, it's not coming from either guy. The only thing I could do is speculate because it's just certain things that I know and I've seen myself that it's like, cause it's a little weird. Like them not being together the last few months before he got injured, you could say that. But then also some of their interviews where Santana comes off like the more impatient one, he comes off more impatient, which is not a bad thing because you want to do better. You want to be in those positions where you feel like, hey, we deserve this, or, we need our time, and Ortiz is the type of guy is like, you know what? I could be patient. I could wait for my opportunity. I'll have no problem waiting. That's the only thing that I could really speculate that like that's been the real issue. Maybe something more than that. I don't know because I don't hang out with none of the guys. I don't know them personally. It's just everything is just speculation. So I think it's something that could be resolved. It's just a matter of, Santana's actually going to stay or not. Because I know he's been teasing like, oh, I can't, he posts the date when he's going to leave. But unfortunately for him, he got hurt at the worst time when you're about to be a free agent. So you probably might have to suck it up and stay, sign a new deal, even if it's a year or so, because nobody's going to sign you right now for being injured. But yeah, like Ortiz looks really out of place. I feel really bad for him. But overall with the main event, yeah, I enjoyed the match. I thought Ruby was the best part of the match. And, we'll see where everything goes from here.
I'm waiting to see. We will have to kind of wait and see with Ortiz. Even if it's Ortiz teaming up with Eddie Kingston, I think that would be better off for him if that's
Yeah.
like his consolation prize. But I agree with Ace here, who says I hope Santana and Ortiz don't split up, because they
I hope
kind
they
of
don't.
feel like that team that everybody wants to see eventually win the AEW World Tag Team titles, even though
And they
other
both need
teams
each other.
yeah, they both need each other, and people want to root for them and see them win the big one. And it's a shame that in these 3 years in AEW, they haven't been able to do that yet, but hopefully they can reunite and get up there once again. But before we get into the main event of this show, there was a quick segment here, exclusive footage from what after CM Punk lost to John Moxley is shown. We get the whole highlights of the 3-minute massacre that was the squash match on AEW Dynamite. And then we see CM Punk backstage. Punk talks about how his leg feels like he couldn't put any weight on it and it just gave out. When he originally broke it, he didn't feel a thing. Far as CM Punk is concerned, he's not sure what it all means. And this distraught look on CM Punk's face, it's kind of told the whole story for this one. But I was really surprised that it was only like 20 seconds of this. Like, they built it up like he was going to cut a promo or something. And I thought about the promo that he cut after he got beat down by MJF on the go home to Revolution. I thought we were going to get something like that from Punk to build up to the all out main event. So what did you think about this segment here?
Well, for one, the segment, all the segment confirmed for me was that Punk didn't leave, because that's what everyone assumed that happened. Everyone assumed, CM Punk is, this is a punishment. This is that. All based off what's been going on backstage, which remind everybody that, again, everything's speculation. We don't know what really happened. We don't know what's going on. We don't know if Punk is unhappy. Me personally, I don't think that's 100% accurate, because we've seen how Punk reacts to certain things. We've seen how he gets, right? Just like everybody wants to bring up, how he left WWE. What people have to really look at is why he left WWE. Because remember, that same year, he was the one that was in line for that main event spot for the title. He was the one for the undisputed. He was the one that was in line. So it wasn't a situation where CM Punk wasn't happy with his overall booking. It was the situation that he got hurt. He wanted time off, and they pretty much said, "No, we're not giving you your time off." He legit had a staph infection, and he left. He was like, "Fuck this!" He said, "Fuck this, I'm out." So it wasn't a situation where where people, they speculate everything, or they just don't pay attention to what's said or what happened or what was supposed to happen, right? So when it comes to the situation with CM Punk, everything is just speculation because of his past history. There's no concrete proof of anything. I think there is some proof to Punk not being happy with what Paige said, which I think is pretty valid. If there's something that he didn't agree with, that's, I think somebody has the right to be upset about that. But I don't think it was warranted of he's unhappy, so he's going to quit the company. They're scared that he's going to leave the company. I don't see none of that from Punk. I have not seen that from Punk, no matter what. Hey, I'm a CM Punk fan, but everyone knows I keep it real. Like, his UFC run, it should have never happened. He should have never done MMA. That's how I feel about that. So when it comes to CM Punk, I keep it 100%. I'm a big fan of CM Punk, but we know how he is. We know he's an asshole, but these are things he's admitted that he knows he's an asshole. He knows he doesn't like people. So it's it is what it is. But I guess, like you said, as for the video, I thought it'd been longer. I thought it'd been similar to the MJF thing, and I thought that's where he would have used the video to challenge John Moxley again for All Out. I thought that was gonna happen. It didn't happen, so I'm guessing it's gonna happen on Dynamite. And maybe that's why they did that. That's why it was so short. They're just made to make it confirm, all right, Punk is still here, and that's all I got out from it.
they're like, Punk didn't leave. Punk is still with us. He's still in the company, guys. No need to worry. He's still here. Um, but that led into the main event of the show here, as it was the ROH World Champion Claudio Castagnoli defending against Dustin Rhodes. This one it turned out to be a pretty good matchup with a really weird finish. But the two guys worked really well with each other. Dustin kind of showing that he can hang with one of the best wrestlers in the world, hitting code reds, hitting like top rope move, his little senton off the apron at one point. He even got some hard hits with like some forearm strikes. In the end, both men appeared to be exhausted as Claudio catches Dustin in between the ropes and delivers a clothesline for a near fall. He calls for the swing and does a nice little swing where Dustin's old ass was getting turned up around multiple different times, and then he went for the pinfall for a 2. Dustin manages to apply a power bomb for a 2 count of his own. Claudio sends Dustin into the ropes, but then when Claudio jumps for the leapfrog, Dustin catches him with a headbutt to the balls. It looked like an unintentional low blow. The referee allows the match to continue despite Art Anderson. He gets onto the apron and verbally calls for Dustin to go after him and to go for the win. But Claudio catches him with a pop-up European uppercut for the victory here. Like I said, it was weird how like they transitioned from that ending. I don't know if the low blow was intentional or not, and I don't know if this was just placed in the match to set up a rematch, but it just felt a little bit off there, and they kind of had to rush to the ending of the whole show here. After the cameras went off, both men shook hands as Claudio retains the ROH World Championship. I thought it was a good match, but like I said, the finish just felt a little awkward.
Yeah, it was a great match. Dustin showed he could still work. I think there's no surprise to that at this point. He's gotten better with age, which is like pretty incredible. But like you said, the finish was a little weird. Art Anderson getting involved in that way, like getting upset. It was a little weird. It felt awkward to me. I don't know. That was just me. It was like, what just happened? Or the case may be. It was a little weird. But the overall match, it was great. I'm loving this run with Claudio. I was a little skeptical with him beating Gresham for the title because it was like I felt it was a little too soon for Claudio, but I think he's making the best out of it, man. Like his talking has gotten better. You know, his matches have been fun to see. You know, there's no surprise to that. We're starting to see moves that he was doing in Ring of Honor that he couldn't do in WWE. So like that's been the fun part for me, at least, because Claudio's strongest suit has always been his ring work, and that's very obvious. But I'm loving this run. Like, I'm all for it.
I'm hoping we get more of this. Like, I think if we get Claudio for like the kind of the battle of the belts type shows or rampages with these title matches, I think he's gonna be kind of be that guy for AEW, and he has an opportunity to kind of stand out. But I would like to get him more integrated into what's going on within AEW as a whole and as a large. But we shall see how they follow up from there, following All Out, because he doesn't seem like he's too much in the plans for what they're gonna do next weekend at that show. But
I think part of that too is when he was originally going to be signed, it was only going to be for Ring of Honor. So maybe that's part of it, that they're still trying to figure out, hey, how are we going to implement him for AEW more so. But like you said, I actually like the idea what you said about the Battle of the Belts Rampage. I actually love that idea, but then also trying to implement it more when it comes to like bigger moments. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, for sure. We got Frantic World. He says, when ROH gets a TV deal, I need Kings of Wrestling on the show. If Chris Hero still wants to wrestle, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Let Chris Hero join the Blackpool Combat Club. He has history with Regal as well. Let him join the Blackpool Combat Club.
He could be like a
and
coach or
have at it.
something. He could be like a coach or something.
Why not? They need more than more coach. If they recruit Daniel Garcia, they got more members. They need more coaches, so he could be a coach as well there. But that brings us to the end of Rampage. I'm gonna do what we usually do on AE Ramble here, but let's put our thumbs in the middle. Thumbs up, thumbs down for AEW Rampage from August 26, 2022 in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up from the both of us. Josh, out of 10, what did you give the show?
I would say about maybe a 7.5. They had 3 good matches. I mean, 2 squash matches. Matches. They had 3 great matches. The opening match was great. The intergender tag team match was fun to watch, and then they had a great main event. So, I mean, 5 matches on the card, and that's what you get. Yeah. 3 matches. Hey. That's a good show to me.
Yeah, I give it a 7 out of 10. I thought the main event was really good. I thought the opener was good. The mixed tag team matchup was good. And like you said, the 2 squash matches, they did what they had to do, which was make the Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs look strong there.
It was just a backwards effect. Yeah, it was a backwards effect. They had the baby face look good, and then the heel look good. That's all it was.
Who would you say is the MVP of this show, Josh?
I'll go with Claudio and Ruby Soho. I thought both performers did really well. Yeah, I'll give it to those 2.
I'm gonna go with the Dark Order because they pulled off a miraculous win, defeating House of Black here when they probably.
Yeah, I could go with that. Yeah, that's a good one too. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
LVP, I'm going with Aston Day, the guy who got squashed by Powerhouse Hobbs, and Ryan Nemeth for talking all that shit.
You know what's funny? I was gonna pick the jobbers too. I was gonna pick them. I picked them.
Easy. That's an easy one. They're easily the jabronis of this show for sure. And Josh, your match of the night?
I'm gonna go with the main event. I'll go with the main event.
Yeah, I agree with you. I gave it to Claudio and Dustin for the best match of the night. Dustin Rhodes still delivering at 50 plus years old. He's still doing his thing. But that brings us to a close for this AEW Rampage episode here on Rampage Wrap Up. Of course, if you are watching this on demand, let us know in the comments down below how you felt about AEW Rampage. Remember to give a thumbs up on this video and tell us what your MVP match of the night LVP was for the show. Josh, please let the people know where they can follow you on social media and when you'll be back here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel.
You can find me on social media, JamPunk321, Twitter and Instagram. I'll be here tomorrow for Radio Raw Superstars. You can find me there. And then the rest of the week, you can find me Elite Heat on Wednesday. And then the weekends, you can find me here at Rampage Wrap Up. Depending on if we shoot it on YouTube or Twitch, I'll be back next weekend.
For sure. We are here on Twitch as well. So yes, go over and follow. We got our good brother BCW Worldwide TV 13 saying killing it. Thank you for joining us on Twitch. We definitely appreciate y'all. We were going to put more content on Twitch as we're trying to hit a goal of 100 followers on Twitch. We're like 25 away. We're like, I think like 17, 18 subscribers away on the YouTube channel to 2,800. So follow along, show the gang some love. And yes, we had our good brother Bad Blood from the Roundtable podcast here with us yesterday on True Hill Heat 190. So go over and check that out. A very good episode, very great perspective from the good homie Bad Blood yesterday, as me and Chrissy Love, Top Guy JJ, talked about all AEW drama backstage, as well as the weekend wrestling with Jon Moxley squashing CM Punk on Dynamite, Johnny Gargano return on Monday Night Raw, plus much more. So go over, check out True Hill Heat 190 from yesterday. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at True Hill FP3. I'll be back here on the YouTube channel. I believe on Tuesday we're going to do our WWE Clash at the Castle preview and predictions. On Wednesday, we'll be doing our NXT Worlds Collide preview and predictions. On Friday, we'll do our AEW All Out 2022 preview and predictions with special guest Righteous Reg of Fightful's Grap City podcast. He'll be joining us to preview that show on Friday. I won't be here on AE Ramble on Thursday. I believe Thursday I'm going to be incapacitated. I'm not going to be able to be here. So we're either going to have the return of AE Recap with Jimmy and Marcus Cash. So that'll be a pre-recorded episode. But if we are able to do it live, it'll be Romeo filling in for me with Jimmy Macaram. So expect.
Well, you know what that means. Yeah, you know what that means. That means they both going to hate the show. So
I know we got the two biggest haters. That's going to be a hate-filled show. The lowest
boy.
For AEW that probably ever is going to be that show if they are together.
Oh, and then can we also highlight this comment? There was a comment that I saw that I want to highlight from Bebe.
Oh, yes. Saying,
that
just
one.
Wanted to say thanks, guys. I'm going through a really rough time right now, and you helped me forget it a bit for a while. Thank you so much, baby. And you've been leaving great comments in the live chat and in the comments, and we appreciate you joining us and getting that little release from whatever's going on with you. We hope you are doing well. Josh?
Yep. Rabbi?
No, if you had anything to add, since you wanted me to highlight the comment.
Oh, no, I'm saying, we always appreciate, the support, all that good stuff. And then also, hey, at the end of the day, we're here, we're just having fun. We're talking about stuff that we enjoy. We're just giving our opinions, our takes, our opinions and stuff like that, stuff that we follow, we know, so, we always appreciate the support.
Yes, thank you, baby. Thank you, everyone who joined us live. Remember to follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at True Hill Heat. Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. For $3 a month, you get even more exclusive content, some New Japan reviews, some Joshi reviews, some GCW reviews over there on Patreon.com/True Hill Heat, as well as our True Hill Heat Prediction Championship. And get your merchandise, get the True Hill Heat logo shirt, True Heels Pornhub, and charity shirts over at ProWrestlingTees.com/True Heels. Final call for comments here. I got BCW saying, I love real guys talking wrestling, and we appreciate y'all for joining us. Bay showing some love for Bad Blood from yesterday as well.
It was really good. Yeah,
he was.
He's really good. I like his takes, because he's in the business. So I always enjoy hearing stuff like that, giving his personal opinions. But then also he was keeping it real. Things that he didn't like, he'll say it. Things that, hey, I know he was talking about that how he didn't like WWE for a long time and he's been liking what they've been doing. He was keeping it real. I like it.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna have Bad Blood back on here with us, and Stat King will be back with us next week for a Rampage wrap up. But maybe I might pop in because I'm going to be with Stat King next weekend in Chicago for AEW All
That's
Out.
right.
So you might see some mixing up. Maybe I'll be on Rampage wrap up. Stat King will be on True Hill Heat on Saturday, as well as Drunk Guy JJ possibly.
Oh, boy.
It's gonna be a huge week with Clash at the Castle all out. So remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified. 3 previews coming up this week, as well as the usual content: Rated Raw Superstars, NX3, Elite Heat, AE Ramble or recap. We'll stay tuned for that. We got the watch alongs for Clash at the Castle, as well as All Out, as well as Worlds Collide, and of course True Hill Heat 191 next Saturday, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. It will be myself, Miss Chrissy Love, Stat King, Drunk Guy. All 3 of us will be in Chicago, and special guest Kate Elizabeth of Fightful Wrestling will be joining us as well. So hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified here on Twitch, become a follower, and remember to set on notifications for that as well, and like this video and leave a comment down below. Tell us what you thought about AEW Rampage. So for the True Draw Josh, it is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. This has been Rampage Wrap Up number 10. We are signing off until next time.